got a cup of coffee in here, please?
Oh, not now. Not now with the sneezing fits. Ready to achoo. Achoo.
Damn.
Achoo.
And hot.
And hot. Achoo.
Wake up, America. You've got a dog that needs walking. That's right, sunshine. Just put on a big pot of strong coffee and get ready to type your little hate mail with your opinions about kumbaya and flat earth insanity. Stand-up comedy? You want stand-up comedy? Well, we've got sit-down comedy. It's time for Coffee with the Dog. You make me laugh.
Yeah. We'll see about that. I'm not feeling it today. Have you heard that one before? Maybe. Oh, no. Wow. Halftime. Oh, good morning, people of Earth, especially Canada. We love Canada, my favorite country. At least in North America. Actually, my favorite country in the world, probably New Zealand, because they have bats, and that's it. Bats and birds. And people. Which I don't like the people. They could go away with the people. Anyway, it is the unlucky 13th. It's Wednesday, December 13th, 2023. Now I gave you the date. You can go do something more productive with your day. It's cold as fuck here. Yes, I said fuck too soon. YouTube gets upset when you say fuck too soon. They got you're allowed to say, in their world, you're allowed to say fuck after like 7 minutes or something. I say it right up front just to piss them off because I don't give a fuck. Anyway, Willie won't be here today. He will be probably in the chat room on YouTube. Here's the deal. Willie was shopping for lingerie last night. He found a beautiful pair of pink panties that he was trying on because we were working on some new designs to sell in the store. And we have some new designs to sell in the store, by the way. But he was trying them on, and somehow or another, they locked them in there. They were closing up. He didn't realize it. He was in the dressing room trying on his pink panties, and they locked them away. So he's still, until they open up, and I think they open up at noon, he's going to be locked in the lingerie store, which is unfortunate. But he has limited Wi-Fi and not a real good place to podcast from, so he won't be joining us today. I do want to talk about a couple of things. I don't know if you know who Cat Turd is. Do you folks know who Cat Turd is? Yes, I said Cat Turd. If you don't know, Cat Turd is the brain trust for the Republican Party. Somebody who goes by the name of Cat Turd. He's a redneck, very I want to say really stupid, racist. He's a guy who definitely wears a hood. Again, he hides in anonymity under the name Cat Turd. He is who the Republican Party looks up to as a deep thinker and somebody they take guidance from. This just shows you the level of where we are at in political discourse today. And if you followed me for any time, since 2016, I think the Republican Party went way off the rails with Donald Trump. But I don't blame Trump. I think he gave license to people like Cat Turd to take power, take influence. Roger Stone, who has been a influencer within the Republican Party since the Nixon days, said this in an interview a few days ago. Cat Turd is one of the country's most eminent scholars, one of the country's most established experts on American politics, and they plan, if Trump gets in, to name him to his cabinet. Cat Turd, ladies and gentlemen. That's just how unserious or just lost the Republican Party is. They need to get back to some semblance of letting smart people run the party, run whatever they do. And they, of course, they put party above country in a big way, and they have been since 2016. And a lot of it is, you know, just the cult of personality and the belief that they have found a savior in a really corrupt orange narcissist. It's just frightening. So yesterday when I was talking and said, I'm ready. I'm ready to die. I don't want to live in a country that is total idiocracy. If you've seen Mike Judge's movie Idiocracy, we are almost there, folks. We are almost to the point of just complete stupidity. Cat Turd is a major influence in our world. Also, Nick Fuentes, who had dinner with the former president, and Donald Trump has not denounced him in any way. He has called for I don't know what platform, who is giving this guy a platform, but he has his own show, kind of like this one, where he has a very limited, very small audience, but they get amplified on social media, all his posts. He's calling for the moment Trump gets reelected to kill. I'm not just making this up, folks. You can check this out. You can see him saying this for himself. He wants to kill everybody who's not a born-again Christian. He wants to start with the Jews. This is what he's claiming. He wants to start and kill everybody who doesn't accept Jesus Christ as the one and only true Savior, and he wants to kill everybody who is not Christian, starting on day one, and do it quickly. This is what he's calling for. And again, nobody over there on that side of the spectrum is denouncing this stuff. They're not. Trump had dinner with him and refuses to denounce this kind of rhetoric. I mean, it's so over the top, ridiculous that people are just dismissing it as just talk. But yeah, if you know anything about Will's in the chat room, he says it doesn't sound very loving. If you know anything about Nick Fuentes, no, there is no true spirit of what Christianity is supposed to be about in that guy whatsoever. I mean, he is as full of hate and contempt for his fellow man and anybody who doesn't see the world that he does. And I don't know how he came to all the kind of crazy conclusions that he's come to, but he's a very young man, and how he got any kind of influence. And again, I don't know who's giving this guy a platform or who follows him. This will be interesting to see. Like, who is he really talking to? Who is? But he had Kanye West. I don't know, his support and was using Kanye West to get to Trump year and a half ago. I think that relationship has gone sour. But he certainly has. I think he's got a bigger audience than we have here, which is troubling. It's very troubling that anybody would give any credence to the ideas that he's spreading. Our friend Doug Stanhope was on Jesse Waters last night. Now this is I'm going to play this clip for YouTube and other platforms that are concerned about what I'm going to show. I am going to be claiming fair use for this. Doug Stanhope, friend of this program, he's not an overtly political guy, but he certainly I don't think he fits into the Fox News model of what of talking heads that they want to have on. So it's confusing to me as why they brought him on to talk about Hunter Biden and how that conversation even started. Did they reach out and say, we need a comedian who understands Hunter Biden or was sympathetic to him? But for whatever happened, Jesse Waters brought Doug Stanhope on, and he started to interview him, and it quickly went in a direction that Waters could not handle, and he bumped him really. So this is the entire interview I'm going to play for you, and then we'll come back and talk about it.
Doug Stanhope's a comedian who joins us now. Doug, I mean, I miss this. Hunter's cool.
First of all, I have no party affiliation. I am wingless. I am a grub worm maggot. I don't care either. But you're completely ignoring that they were making fun of themselves as much as anyone. I listened to the sketch. I don't know dog dick about Hunter Biden. I have a home life and I do things. I don't. But Hunter Biden isn't a new story. Like, if you go back to Betty Ford had problems. Were you trashing her for being an alcoholic? The guy's evidently a drug addict. He's having some fun, I guess. Billy Bush, Billy Carter, Billy Beer. Wasn't that funny in the moment? Did we have to wait a long time? Chelsea Clinton, you know, she sold a bunch of top secrets to WikiLeaks and changed her gender. All of the presidential families have had issues. Why Hunter Biden is specifically chafing your crack?
Well, I think because Hunter has had all of the issues that everyone has ever had in the history of first families. And I'm fine with it because this whole time I didn't realize how cool he was.
I banged my brother's wife while he was the night before my brother graduated boot camp at Paris Island. I banged his fiance in a pool in a Holiday Inn at 17. Okay. So I was technically a rape victim, too.
All right.
I'm saying we've all done things.
We've all done things. You've done quite a few things this evening. Have another one, Stanhope. Love you.
I just started.
I can tell. We talk to a real-life dictator next.
Oh, my God. So there's Waters, insinuating that Stanhope is drunk. No, he's having breakfast. He's not even close to drunk in that. And he's right. I mean, we have had lots of people in first families that have maybe none. Maybe Waters is right too. Maybe none as fucked up as Hunter Biden is to that extreme. But first families, yeah, they're all screwed up. I mean, I think he forgot about Roger Clinton. He mentions Chelsea Clinton in there. Roger Clinton was in there. I think Reagan's kids were all kind of messed up in different ways. Maybe not so much Ron Jr. He was just criticized for being a dancer or whatever, a ballet dancer, which is not is not a sin or in any way. Anyway, record time, but I am curious now how did they reach out to Doug Stanhope and say, we need a comedian to come on and defend Comedy Central's mocking of Hunter Biden, or how that conversation got started, or did he reach out to them? Very weird stuff. I'd love to hear your opinions on it over in the chat room there. If you got any comments on the Stanhope thing. Now, Stanhope's following was quick to jump on that, and Doug is a hero for a lot of people, and getting thrown off of Fox News is a badge of honor to a lot of those people. Again, Doug's not like a a very political guy at all. But it would have been really interesting to see if if a political discussion had evolved from that with Stanhope, like, and they would ask him about some of the other issues like abortion and war and nationalism and those kind of things. Because if you follow him, you know his takes on that kind of stuff. Anyway, we have a pretty good show lined up for you. Let's meet G.D. Fenderson this morning because he's not. Hold on, he's not in a lingerie dressing room locked in there like our friend Willie. So he was able to make it here. Good morning, G.D.
Good morning. Mind Dog Coffee. Put the coffee in the cup or else it gets the hose again. Mind Dog Coffee.
Well, that's a new one. I appreciate that. You put a lot of effort into these, obviously, and you put a lot of thought.
I have a list. I have a, yeah. I have a.
Are you? Wow, we got a lot more. The coffee is not going to survive that cup.
Well, see, I just draw one randomly, and then I do. That's what I'm going to do from now on. I'm just going to randomly.
From now on, you say like the coffee is going to survive from now on.
Well, even when the coffee's gone, I'll still have the cup. I'll just have to put something else in there. Mind Dog T-shirts.
Oh, by the way, there is new merchandise for Willie with Willie's mug on it, the old shit hat, in the spread shop stores this morning. Maybe I'll show that later on. Before we get started, and I'm already kind of into this. I should have done this at the beginning. Please like, share, and comment on this stuff. It helps out a great deal, and I don't say that enough. But everybody on YouTube and other streaming platforms says this all the time. I rarely ever say it, but it's really important, and people forget to do it, and it would help out anyway. Do all that and subscribe. If you're not already a subscriber, subscribe and tell your friends to subscribe and all that kind of stuff. Today we have an author who I have already spoken to on the nighttime program about a year ago. It's his work I would kind of classify as sci-fi fantasy with a great deal of optimism about the future. I don't know. And it mixes in baseball. So that will be interesting. And then later on in the next hour, Paul Zolman, the love languages guy, is going to make his third attempt at showing up, which is my love language, showing up. And if he doesn't show up, I'm not going to love him anymore. So interesting show. I'm gonna unlove him hard if he does not show up today. Yeah. So, were you familiar with Cat Turd?
Only from my litter box.
Yeah. The guy goes by the name Cat Turd. He's an anonymous. He's got like a little icon that he lives on Twitter. But the entire Twitter sphere of the right wing and Twitter sphere takes its lead from this guy. Like he is their main. And he's not like Q. He's not like making up. JFK Jr. is still alive and all, yeah. And he's not making up like crazy, but he is the thought leader. How can you be serious as a political party when one of the leaders of your party, one of the people who sets the agenda for your party, is calling himself Cat Turd and living in an image?
It sounds to me like because the way most right wing want to be authoritarians think, they put their face, if they want, what I'm saying, like what's his name, the guy that always wears three shirts, Stephen.
Three shirts?
Yeah.
Oh, Steve Bannon.
Bannon, Miller. They want their face on with their authoritarian remarks. If somebody's going by the name of Cat Turd, they're not showing their face. I'm thinking they're more like a think tank. Like Roger Stone and four of his buddies.
No, this is definitely a guy. He's shown up at like John Rich, the country western musician, is friends with him, and he's shown up at his thing and gotten awards. He's been on stage, but he hides his face. It's a weird.
You mean like the unknown comic?
I mean like a KKK guy.
Oh, so he wears a hood.
Not exactly, but like that. Yeah, yeah. A mask. Let's say a mask.
Well, still could be a front. I don't know. I'm just not in any. I don't. Anonymity. People will hide their identities.
Anonymity. Yeah.
People will hide their identities. I'm sorry. That's to me. That's just cowardice. That's just cowardice.
Yeah.
You know, if you're going to say things that are so impactful, put your face on it. And your name.
Nick Fuentes does that. Nick Fuentes, who is like calling for the murder of anybody who is not Christian.
Well, I don't agree with what he's saying, but I'm glad that he's put his face on it, so we know where the crazies are.
Yeah.
You know, I want to know where the crazies are in my neighborhood. I mean, I live in a neighborhood where most of the people around here are apolitical in the sense that the closest thing to political in my immediate neighborhood, like the 100 or the 50 homes in this area, in this neighborhood, before we get to the main road, it's like there are no signs saying Trump this or Biden that or anything like that. It's not until I get out into the road when I start seeing the flags, the Confederate flags and stuff like that. And I know those neighbors, which ones I can talk to if I need help or whatever.
The Fuentes thing is so interesting to me, and because most of, I shouldn't say most of, the majority of, probably a slim majority, somewhere like 60%, I would say, of the Republican Party is pro-Israel. But they don't denounce a guy who is completely anti-Semitic, because he's talking in no uncertain terms about starting with the Jews, killing the Jews to start off with the day.
Now, I think some of those, a good chunk of those Republicans that are pro-Israel are only pro-Israel because they think that the Lord Jesus Christ is going to come through once there's like a great war and that Israel's going to be involved.
No doubt. I've talked to a lot of Christians who believe that the Jewish people will convert when Christ comes back again or whatever, and that will be, but he is not going to give them that chance. He's not even giving them a chance to convert. He wants to. Hitler didn't even talk like that. I mean, I don't know. He did talk like that, but I mean, you know what I mean? He's not even going to give them a chance to convert. He's just like, we should kill them all day one.
Why did they have to convert? I don't even understand.
To be saved by Jesus, to accept Jesus as the one and only. That is what his rhetoric is, that anybody who doesn't accept Jesus as the one and true and only Savior should be killed. And then he starts with the Jews, but he also goes to Muslims and Buddhists and Hindus and Satanists and atheists or everybody else. But he wants to start with the Jews, which to me should tell everybody in the party who has been talking about, stopping anti-Semitism. They should start with him. Do you not hear one of your thought leaders expressing these opinions? Anyway, we got to move on. Just curious. And who's giving him a platform and who's actually following him? That's troubling, that he has followers. So we have to play a commercial, and then we're going to meet Gary Morgenstein, who has been on my evening program once before. We're going to start with this, which is very woke commercial.
With humble East Coast beginnings in 2015, Daily High Club is the premier destination for glass water pipes, vaporizers, and consumption accessories. If you're looking to elevate your smoking game to the next level, you're in the right place. With over 1 million top quality smoking products sold, and with a growing base of over 10,000 monthly subscribers worldwide, we deliver the ultimate smoking experience. But Daily High Club is not just another retailer. We're lovers of the smoking scene ourselves, working with giants like Tommy Chong, Snoop Dogg, Chanel West Coast, and more. Ready to join the Daily High Club? Let our experts curate your collection with our awesome El Primo monthly subscription box. Or grab one of our fun and unique pieces from our smoke shop. Get started today. Visit minddogtv.com and click on the banner on the homepage.
Yeah, the Holoblaze box is on sale today. It's $29.99. I'm sorry, and it's $100 value. Get your holidays box set today. Order it at what's the name of? Oh, Daily High Club. Good to remember the name of the sponsor when you're doing the beast. Gary Morgenstein has been with me before. He's been on the evening program. Baseball fan from Brooklyn, which surprisingly enough, he's a Yankee fan because growing up in Brooklyn in the era, basically just a couple of years older than me, which was heavily Brooklyn Dodgers territory. It was before they actually went to L.A. Everybody, it must have been dangerous to be a Yankee fan in Brooklyn. That's what I'm thinking, because there were Yankee fans, and my father grew up in Brooklyn as a a New York Giants fan, and that was he was seen as like persona non grata to a lot of his friends. Brooklyn was heavily influenced by baseball. 3 teams in New York at the time, and Gary comes from that era. But his books are what I would call sci-fi fantasy. They do have a political kind of bent into them, and we'll meet him right now, ladies and gentlemen. Say hello to Gary Morgenstein. Gary, welcome back.
Matt. Well, thank you for welcoming me on the show.
It's a pleasure to have you here. Now, last time, Fastball for Freedom, it was the book we were talking about.
Book 2, yes.
Right. So now you have a new book out. Now this is interesting to me. Oh, by the way, say hello to GD over there. That's GD Foundation.
Nice to meet you, GD.
Nice to meet you, Gary.
The new book, I want to bring up the book, show the book here, called Dugout to Peace. Now, it takes place in 2099. Which makes me think you are an optimist or crazy. Do you think we're going to survive till we as a nation, as a society, the world, all of it will be around in 2099?
Well, I'm optimistic, and I'm also a little pessimistic because the world of my novels begins in 2098 after America and the West has lost World War III to the Islamic Empire. Democracy is dead. We're run by an entity called the family, led by grandma, and discredited baseball, which has been associated with the old great America, the failed America, is down to playing its final season ever at Amazon Stadium in the Bronx.
Well, some of that rings true. But now we come back to optimism and baseball. I think baseball is on a decline, and I don't think baseball as we know it or as anybody knew it will be around much longer. I think I say that fully cognizant that the LA Dodgers just spent $700 million on one player.
Well, they haven't done it yet. It's in arbitration, I think, or it's on hold, being challenged.
I was not aware of that. Thanks for correcting me on that.
But
No,
I just didn't want you to, because I know you were going to bid on them. I know that you were going to put a bid on them, and I didn't want you to just give up yet. It's still in negotiations, so you have a chance.
So, Gary, what about that? Do you? And I know that baseball is just the vehicle to which you tell this story, but do you think baseball is professional Major League Baseball are around to stay and will be around in 2099?
Well, and that's the core of the book, is that baseball is in decline, that it's been superseded by football and basketball, that I'm a sentimental guy, and to love baseball, you must be sentimental, because, and I don't want to diss football and basketball, but there's nothing like baseball. And in terms of the association with our history, the integration with our history, the way it mirrors our history, baseball requires, one of the characters in my novels says that when he walks into a baseball park and he sees the green, it's like looking at the front lawn of God. And you need that in baseball, the numbers of baseball, 56, 511. I have no idea who's the all-time passing leader in the NFL. And does that number even matter? So it has a special place, baseball, and the society change. I mean, America is no longer a sentimental nation. Baseball changed, as in the book. And in 2065, during the war with Islam, baseball activists and radicals wanted the war to be prosecuted more vigorously and to use nuclear weapons, at least tactical nuclear weapons. So during the 7th game of the World Series at Amazon Stadium between the Yankees and the Chicago Cubs, they tried to take out the government in a terrorist attack, and they failed. So the fury fell down upon baseball. The Hall of Fame was destroyed. Ballparks were destroyed. Baseball, except for crumbling Amazon Stadium, where there's still skeletons in the outfield as a monument to the treachery, is the only thing that exists. But then the main character, Puppy Nidak, who's a baseball historian, a former college baseball player, he celebrates his birthday, drinks too much bourbon. Some things never change in the future. Okay. Wakes up the next morning, and there's this smelly guy sleeping on his floor. He says, "Who are you?" And the guy insists he's Mickey Mantle. This is just what I need in my life, right? That's what he thinks. A few days later, a courtly Southern gentleman named Ty Cobb shows up. And then from the future of baseball comes the Shohei Ohtani, speaking of, Mushi Lopez, a woman, the all-time greatest switch hitter. Yes, there are women. The book is very, you talk about predictions. This is dystopian speculative fiction. So I'm not predicting anything. What I want to do is say, the reader could say, well, I could see how this could happen. Okay, so you could see that in our current climate, maybe we would lose the will for democracy. You could see maybe our military would lose the will. You could see how religion is banned in this future. So you have to show the reader not transplanting 2023, because there's never any mention of Trump or Biden. I don't talk about Tucker Carlson's 3 terms as president. I don't scare anyone like that. Okay, everything I do in the future is totally fictional. But I have my own credibility, and and I have my own rules that I create for my society, which sometimes is difficult. For example, one of the main characters gets pregnant. So, all right, so my first thought was she's going to get an abortion. Then I realized, well, in this world, America lost 17 million, including 4 million children. The family is based on family and love and real relationships, which is why social media is banned under the anti-narcissism laws. So she would not be allowed to abort because they're restocking the population. You see? So it's not about some right-wing, pro-lifers, saying, no, abortion must be illegal. It's my own rules, and I think that's what you invite the reader to accept.
Right. It seems like, first of all, I'm not sure if I'm characterizing it right, but when you say Amazon Stadium, it seems like you're painting kind of Amazon as part of this dystopian future, which is fun, and I tend to agree with that outlook. But for an author to come out and because so many books to rely on Amazon as a marketing place, it's kind of a brave move.
Well, I'm having a brave move talking about a world where we're at war with Islam. Yeah. There are some people, I tried to hire a publicist who would work with me before. She said, I can't represent the book. And it was like, why? Because through 2 books and now 3, A Dug Out to Peace just was published. Only one reviewer ever accused me of Islamophobia. This is not a screed against Islam. This is a dark world. We can see how something like this could happen. How do we get out of it? How do we get out of a cycle of hatred, of war, of violence? And that is the darkness of the world. But within it, as all fiction, novels, plays, movies, TV, it's about the people.
Right.
It's not the political messages, the speeches. That's nonsense. It's how the ordinary people, and there are just very ordinary people who just want to get along. They want their jobs. They want to be in love. They want to be healthy. That's all they want across the world, both in America and the caliphate of Islam. And how do they come together? And I think for a writer, for an artist these days, it's so easy to point fingers and scream. Say, you dirty, because we do a lot of that, okay? writers, it's our job to hold up a mirror to society. We've been done it for thousands of years now, okay? But you also have to show a way forward. Through the darkness, you have to show a light. And what I try to do in these books is show that maybe we can come together. Maybe there is more that unites us. And in these novels, it's about faith, not religious faith, but faith in ourselves and each other, and a well-thrown curveball.
All right. I'm going to come back to baseball for a second, because you were talking about, because I agree with you again, but I am of the same era that you are and there is a majesty and a nostalgia that is triggered by people of my age about baseball. But I'm not so sure the youth. Have you gone to a game in the last 10 years, 15 years?
Oh, yeah.
They don't even know. They need to be told when to cheer. The scoreboard has to come on and say, make some noise, and they don't even know why they're making noise. They just do it. They're like robots, and they don't appreciate the game, like or even the majesty of seeing a baseball field as you walk out into a stadium. That feeling that I had when I was a kid. I don't think young people today relate to that at all.
No, I agree with you.
Right.
Totally. And what happens in the books is that baseball is revived, okay? And but the quality of play is so bad that the then commissioner Puppy Nedick says, all right, we're going to go back. Like things like the hit and run is considered a trick play, so you can't use it anymore. All right. So they were reduced to having home runs based on distance. So you got 1 run, 2 runs, 3 runs compared to the distance. I mean, that was the Michigas of baseball in the future. So he says, screw that. We're going back to the 20th century. And nothing that happened in the rules in the 21st century are valid. He even gets rid of the designated hitter. He doesn't even let ballpark food that came in 2003 to be served. And all the stadiums are rebuilt by robots. It's a society. It's kind of a metaphor that robots must be accepted as life forms. Does a robot have a soul? I mean, we could, you can go back to that pot commercial, and you need a few bongfuls to contemplate that, okay? So the robots rebuild all the baseball parks to the old architecture, and then they're renamed. Not this. I don't even know the names of baseball stadiums anymore. But there's Shea Stadium, there's Forbes Field, there's Crosley Field, and it goes back to the old school. And then because of this world, because of the polarization of the past, fans were prohibited from rooting for their teams.
Wow.
Okay. Yes, because it sets it up. You couldn't have. Well, I don't get upset at me, but opinion journalism is banned. Also, I'm sorry, but and so they bring back radio, but so fans could get excited, and you're not allowed to wear Mantle's number 7 jerseys.
Wow.
Because that's celebrity worship.
Oh my
So
goodness.
this is the world. So, but what happens is baseball, the government is crumbling. This nanny state is falling apart because people just want to be freer. Baseball is the epicenter of the resistance. So they lead the charge, and baseball eventually leads through the 3 novels, leads America back to democracy. And there is ultimately, in book 3, a real 2099 World Series.
Well, don't be too. I hope you didn't just give away the ending.
No.
But here's what I would say about this. Now, I am not, despite what anybody might have gleaned from the very opening, monologue or whatever the hell it is that I do. I am not really a fan of either party, but left wing, right wing, all this kind of stuff. I do think we need a strong Republican Party, and I think the Republican Party has gone off the rails, and I would love to see them get back to where they were. And I know the system was broken for on both sides, but that level of broken is not where we're at today. So I'm going to say that your novel does not seem like a far off distant, and I know 2099 is not distant for a lot of people, but it sounds like it's 2029. or closer. I mean, I think we're in that position right now, and that's scary. A lot of the things you just described, I was talking about some of these things today, where but I do think, because you kind of pose it as, if we lose religion, I think organized religion is a cause of a lot of our division. Do you agree or disagree with that?
Well, I disagree. I think it's how it's used. I think if organized religion is to bring you faith and peace and make you do good things and be better to people, then it's wonderful. If it's set out that my religion is better than your religion, so you suck, then I'm with you totally. It's all how we execute, And by the way, I'm an independent, so I share your.
Yeah.
Now, is it okay if they suck, but it has nothing to do with religion?
Sorry?
Is it okay if the people suck, but it has nothing to do with religion?
Yes.
Okay.
No, we don't want any of that, because
No.
it's just we live in a society where you can't even have dialogues with people anymore.
No,
Right?
you
can't.
absolutely right.
Because everyone is just yelling. Everyone just profiles the other person as a political or this, or what do you mean you voted for, or you believe in. It's like, whoa. I don't know how we get back to that. America has lost its center. And even as Matt, we both came of age in the 60s, okay? And Bobby Kennedy was my first hero without a ball, okay? I mean, there was Mantle and Joe Namath and Wolf Frazier, but it was Bobby Kennedy. But we still, despite, and it was terrible times what was going on. I'm not in any sense, sugarcoating it, but there was still a sense of America.
Right.
That we were Americans. That's gone.
Yeah.
There is, that's really scary, because I don't know how we walk back from that.
I don't either. This is a real concern, and I'm a pessimist, and you seem to be more optimistic, and I don't know how you maintain that optimism, but I am a pessimist, and it comes across, and people are always talking about I don't have a lot to live for, and in a way, I don't want to be around to see this if it's going where I think it's going. I would love to have a long life if we could dial it back. Just where I'm going with this is, there was this film about cancel culture, and it kept coming back to political stuff, political divide. But we are at the point where Mets and Yankees fans will kill each other on social media over something stupid. I mean, we could argue about just about anything, where we used to be able to argue about things like baseball but still not end up wanting to kill people over it, or just get like really, really vicious and vindictive and all that stuff. So I think we've lost the capacity to even just have fun with something like baseball, and just you know what I mean, and just enjoy it as a pastime and a diversion from our troubles. Now it is a catalyst to our troubles, and I don't know how we walk back from that.
No, and you'd have thought after COVID, 6 million people around the world died.
Right.
Maybe it would have softened us up a little. It's worse.
Right.
People, the sense of being polite is a lost art.
Right.
Right. You can say also, I believe social media, because we've lived in silos, and we think that, the 1,000 followers on Facebook are our friends. They could care less about you. At the end of the day, they're not really your friends.
Right.
But we've substituted this artificiality for real emotions, because people are afraid. You talk about like younger people, and you read stories about how impossible it is to date, like, your 20s or your 30s. And what is that about?
Right.
Right.
You got online dating and Tinder or whatever. I don't understand any of it. But now I'm feeling like a dinosaur again, and this happens quite often. But yeah, so how do you maintain any kind of hope or optimism? And when you're writing this book, I mean, because it sounds like, if I were writing the book that you're presenting here today, I would be talking myself into into a more pessimistic state. I would not be saying there is a bright side to this, and I can bring it out, and I can highlight something good here.
Well, because you create characters who are basically good but flawed, and you operate from there. You don't. We all do things we're ashamed of, we shouldn't do, but we're like characters. All the world's a stage, and we have to tolerate the flaws. And so in my books, these are decent people who sometimes do the wrong things. And I think basically the vast majority of us are decent people. I don't care if you're a Republican or a Democrat or an independent, or you like the Red Sox. We're still basically decent people. And so that is my hope.
You could have left the Red Sox out of this. No, but you know what? I want to agree with you. I want to agree with you to say that most people are good people. But I was talking about this guy, Nick Fuentes, this morning, and he's a young man. And I keep thinking that in the back of my head. When I hear him spewing out all this hate and stuff, he's a young man. And I want to believe that there is some redemption and some hope for learning. Like, he doesn't always have to be full of that hate. And maybe because at my core, I believe everybody is capable of good and evil, and we all have that in us. And as you learn, you kind of grow and that kind of stuff. But some of this stuff is just so dark. Like, how do you pull somebody like that back into humanity? You know what I mean?
Look at history. I read a lot of history. And when you read history, you're not shocked so much. Right? I mean, think of, like, I don't know, 1942, okay? We were getting our butts kicked by the Germans and the Japanese. You want to talk about scary? Right? I mean, I'm a Jew. We've been around 4,000 years. By all logic, we shouldn't be. It makes no sense how we still have survived, but somehow we have. And it's the human spirit. It's ultimately, even when there is oppression, there's a wonderful book, I Will Bear Witness Diary, by Victor Klemperer. He was a Jewish professor in Dresden, married to a Gentile woman, and he kept a diary from 1933 to 1945. It's not about the Holocaust, because I can't read about that anymore. But it's just about how you survive. It's the human element. Despite them saying, well, you can't walk on this side of the street. I'm hungry, honey. What's for dinner? And we have to, kind of remember those little things. When I ride the subway, okay, when people come to New York to visit, the first thing I do is make them ride the subway. Maybe it's a little sketchier now.
No, I like it.
But I say, sit in the subway car with me. Look at the rainbow of people, everyone, and no one is hitting anyone. Everyone, yeah. And when some crazy person comes in the subway car, everyone is looking at him, and everyone is exchanging looks. It's just people just want to get by.
Yeah. You know what it is? When that crazy person does show up on the subway, instead of trying to deal with the situation and placate that crazy person and get him some help or whatever, the first instinct we have is to get out our phones and put it on social media so we can say to everybody, look how terrible New York is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, because in March of this year, I went to the city to meet a friend who was here from England, and we spent some time in the city, and walking around the city, and it was just surprised that he didn't see any violence. He didn't see any of the kind of stuff that you would see on a daily basis on videotape or video stuff that people got on their phones from New York City, for people who want to say, well, New York City is just a hellscape and all that kind of stuff. So I kind of take that as a grain of salt with anything. When anybody talks about any part of the world, when I see them using a 60-second video clip as an example of how things have gone completely off the rails, I kind of say, well, I know you're just cherry picking what you want me to see to paint a picture for me. It's hard to maintain that, though.
Right. Well, you're showing a picture of like 3 bad people out of 1 million.
Yeah.
But that's if it bleeds, it leads.
Right.
That's the media. They want, they want to aggravate that and exacerbate that and get everyone arguing and fighting instead of the people who maybe we should be addressing these things to.
Yeah. I'm a sucker for
You didn't have to finish that sentence.
Yeah. Okay. I'm a sucker for
No, you could just say I'm a sucker and just stop right there.
No, I got to for so I'm going to continue. This idea of painting an optimistic, hopeful future in movies and books and all that kind of stuff, but it doesn't last. So if I read your book, when I get to the end of it, I might have an uplifted feeling, but it'll last me 2 days, and then I'll be back to my old pessimist self. Do you experience that?
Yeah, well, I also write plays, and so there's the immediacy of it, and it's something so wonderful. I mean, one of my plays is it's won awards, a black and white cookie, and this past summer it was premiered in Los Angeles, and also in.
Oh, did we
Black
lose?
screens matter.
Well, yeah. Hopefully, you know what? I think he was getting a phone call.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, you're back.
So it was in Los Angeles and New Jersey, and it's about the unlikely yet powerful relationship between a conservative African-American newsstand owner in the East Village who finally reopens his business after COVID, only get hit by a huge rent increase, and he has to close up and retire and go live with his niece in Florida. So enter a Meshuggah communist Jew who's like a radical from the 60s who tells him we're going to fight back. So they have to overcome what seems like they have nothing in common, but they unite to take on the system. And so at the end, we'd have talkbacks and people would say how touched they were. And yeah, I'm not changing the world. But if you reach someone, I like to think that it all doesn't just dribble away. That you say, are you going to go back to your old ways in 2 days? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe you'll remember something and a possibility and a friendship that really on paper shouldn't exist. But then you see two lonely old men coming together. It makes you think that this is possible. And I
so
think
maybe Matt
really
is like
important.
1% less negative that after he reads.
I can't hear you, GD.
So maybe Matt is 1% less negative than before he read your book.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
Well,
so
I would take it. I'll take the 1%. You can't hear him? That's weird. Can you hear me? No, you can't. You lost your audio. We could hear you, but you can't. That's strange. I think Gary probably got headphones won't hurt. Hello, testing 1 2. Check 1.
Ceiling check, mic check, shirt check.
Testing 1 2 3 1 2. Testing 1 2 1.
This is really annoying me. I have to move this.
What is that?
This.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you. Can you hear me? No, can't hear me. Why don't you leave and come back? I can't even say that. Let me see if I can put this in somehow on the screen. Banners. Hello? I wish I could type faster. I'm not a good typist, and I'm typing with one hand. Yeah. I was going to say try exiting.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Can you hear us?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I can't hear you.
Yeah. Try leaving and boy. We apologize for this, folks at home and on the radio. I guess you could be at home and on the radio, right?
Yeah. How's this, Matt?
Most people who are listening on the radio are in cars, I would assume. Maybe that's a bad assumption. Anyway, yeah. So he's going to try leaving and coming back. Interesting.
People, if you're driving, you don't have to leave and come back. You can stay.
Just don't drive off the road or anything like that, or don't try texting us what you. All right. It looks like Gary's back. Hello. Can you hear us now?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. I don't know where we were. GD was saying that after the experience of reading your book, I might be 1% less negative than I am now. I would take that. I would take 1%. I mean, you got to start somewhere. Every journey starts with a single step, right?
Yes.
So
yes, and that's important, and we all have to connect.
Right. So now, when you start, this is the third book. When you started this endeavor, was that the plan, or were you just writing one book and always knew it would be, or just assumed it would be one book, and now it's led to two more books?
Actually, I started. I was going to write 4 books, and my publisher said, "Well, it. Wait, I'm just resetting up here. Forgive me. Okay, okay." And they said, "Well, they don't want 4 books anymore. That they want trilogies." So I said, "Okay, well, the 4th book is going to be a little longer." I mean, I started it in 2015, May 2015. My wife and I were having Sunday breakfast, eating everything bagels with a schmear, listening to the Beatles, and it popped into my head: what about a book where America has lost World War III, and we're led by grandma, and baseball's begins its final season ever? And so it just came. And I know it sounds a little trippy, but I was in college in the 70s, so you can forgive me. But the characters take over, and that's the splendor of it. They come in, they go through the door. We could discuss who's opening the door, and they just take over. And writers will all say that. You go, "Oh, you're very precious."
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, and but here's the thing now: when you say you started this in 2015, the world has already drastically changed in the time it took you to write these 3 books, and it
Yes.
is already exponentially sped up the amount of we can call it evolution, whatever, where we're going. So that part of it is really interesting to me. Just looking at that, you started in 2015. Here we are, less than 10 years later, and the world is already a much darker place.
Yes.
Than when you began to write this stuff.
Yes, and it might be even darker.
Right. I unfortunately, I think we have, for whatever reason, we won't learn the lessons we meant to learn until it gets much darker. Sometimes you have to, hit rock bottom in order to spring back. Unfortunately, I don't want to see society hit rock bottom, but again, I am a pessimist. But Willie says in the chat room, it's in spirit form. Basically, I talk about that a lot because you mentioned the Beatles, the Get Back movie, and Paul McCartney is writing, but it seems like he's not writing, like he's receiving. He's just pulling words out of the ether and saying, "Oh, write that down. That's a good line." Like it just came out of his mouth.
Right.
That kind of thing. That's what the writing experience is like for you.
Yes, it's the worst thing, of course, is the blank page.
Right.
You just say, "All right, I suck. It's all dried up. I'm dead."
No, the blank page is full of potential.
Yes, until you stare at it for like 15 minutes and you go, but you're absolutely right. Philip Roth, there's been so many things to say about, right? Philip Roth had a great advice. He said, when you're writing, don't write yourself out. Don't burn out. Save like a paragraph for the next day, which is very good. I'm also not the most organized person creatively. My wife had set up, when I was writing, she set up like what she called a genius board. So she took like, cardboard, and I did Post-its with all my ideas, and I put them up on the genius board. It took me like 3 hours. I was so proud of myself. I never looked at it again, because to me, the joy is being surprised. I kind of knew where I would end. It's, 3 books, 1,500 pages later, but how I got there was wonderful. In fact, when I had the players come back, and it was Mickey Mantle, but it wasn't always Ty Cobb. At first, it was Babe Ruth. And he was just so overbearing that I said, just get out of the way. This book is not about you. So I pushed him away. Then I brought back Reggie Jackson, who was boring, brilliant, a great player. He wasn't exciting. It wasn't until you find, it's the editing, the constant editing. When people say, well, what advice would you give a writer? Be prepared that it's hard work.
Yeah.
I love when someone says they've written a first draft of the book, or I'm ready to send it to a publisher. I said, really? Have you lost your mind? My last Dug Out to Peace was in manuscript form, 910 pages. It's a pretty friggin' long book, and I did 10 drafts. So I'm a little, might be a little crazy myself, but that's a little crazy. But it's hard work because, people are going to read what you wrote,
Right.
and you owe it. If someone's spending time and money to read my books, I am honored that they've done that, or coming into a theater to see a play, but it's up to me to make sure it's the best I can do.
All right. Do you feel like this part of this chapter of your life is done, and now you have to kind of find new inspiration? Because at the end of the third book, which was going to be the fourth book, you've completed your story, and then where do you go from here? Do you think about those things?
Well, I'm done with this story. It was very sad to say goodbye to these characters, and I lived with them for nearly 10 years. They were my friends. I write, like I said, I write plays. I have a new play called, I wrote a play, Dancing on Glass, which is about anti-Semitism at a private school, which is also extremely timely, anti-Zionism at a private school in Brooklyn. And then I have a new play called Walking Charlie, which will be a live Zoom premiere January 14th on Create Theater Space. So it's a romantic dramedy. Yeah.
The Dancing on Glass one, does that take place after a wedding when they've broken the glass? And
No stepping on the glass. No.
That is your contribution to the program this morning. This stomping on the glass joke.
It was a question. I'm just asking.
No.
Okay, thank you. That's all.
Okay.
I'm done. I'm gone now.
No.
It's my last day. It's my last day on the show anyway.
His last minute on the show. Now, before I let you go, now we have the link to where you can find out about all your books. It's bchpress.com, author Gary _ well, the link's in the description. Just click it. Brooklyn. Let's talk about Brooklyn a little bit, because I've been to Brooklyn recently for comedy shows. A couple of different comedy shows I went there. It's not the Brooklyn that I grew up in, that I used to go visit my grandmother. It's become a major city. It's for people who haven't been here, because they think we know Brooklyn is part of New York City, but Brooklyn is a city unto itself. It's I think in the beginning of Welcome Back, Kotter says America's 7th largest city. Talk to me about the evolution of Brooklyn and where it is now. Does it bear any resemblance to the Brooklyn that you grew up in?
No, well, I grew up in the Bronx.
Oh.
I grew up 6 blocks from Yankee Stadium.
Oh, so that's why you're a Yankee fan. I thought you grew up in Brooklyn.
Well, but my father was a Dodgers fan in the Bronx, so we flipped it around. Yeah. So you were right. You sensed that. We moved. I moved here into Brooklyn, into Park Slope in 1981, and people in Manhattan said, "Well, I guess we won't be seeing you much anymore." I said, "What? You ever hear of the subway? It goes to Brooklyn." But back then, it was very small, isolated neighborhoods, and then it gentrified, and now it might be like the 4th largest city in America.
Right.
It's wonderful. We live across the street from Prospect Park. It's fun. It's so humming and vital, and you really don't have to go into Manhattan.
Right, and there is a vital creative energy there. People, photographers, videographers, authors, musicians, comedians. There's a lot going on in Brooklyn, and it really feels like a Renaissance city when I visited there. Anyway, which is so different than the Brooklyn I visited every weekend to go see my grandmother when I was a little kid.
Where did she live?
East New York.
Okay, yeah. And we also have a baseball team, the Brooklyn Cyclones at Coney Island.
Right, yeah.
Which, I mean, come on, you go to a game in the summer, you see the actual Cyclone roller coaster, off to the side, you smell the ocean breeze, you have a Nathan's hot dog.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, I know. It's a beautiful experience. I hope more people check it out. But young people were, at least in the last 10 years, I've seen a lot of young people moving there. And so it's kind of like a revitalized city. So and where I'm going with this is part of that exemplifies the hope that is in your novel.
Yes. Yes, we have to have hope.
Right.
We have to wake up every morning and believe it's going to be okay.
Tough.
But if young people are the ones that are repopulating the area, the history of that place. I mean, the buildings are there, but it was the people that made that place that wonderful and loving and so forth. And so the new people aren't going to have the same values, right? Well,
they're going to have their own values.
Yeah.
People are going to, it's going to be different cultures, but people are still people.
Yeah. Yeah. And when I say young, I'm not talking about children.
No,
okay.
30-year-olds. And
I was thinking like first and second graders. Never mind.
30-something people, and they are of a creative mindset. A lot of creatives are moving to Brooklyn. Like, it's the place to go to make your movie. It's a place to go to put your comedy stuff out there. It's a place to go if you're a musician. There's lots of all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
So much, it's a creative hub. It really is. It's an amazing place right now. If I were young, I would probably be going there. Anyway, the book is called A Dugout to Peace. It is the third in a trilogy. You can find out more about it at BHC Press. Gary, it's been a pleasure to talk to you again. Do come back sometime.
Thank you. Let me know next time you're in Brooklyn to Comedy Club.
Will do.
We'll meet up. I would love that. That would be a lot of fun. All
Very
right.
cool. Thanks.
Have a blessed holiday.
You too.
Okay.
Bye for
Take
now.
care. Bye-bye.
Gary Morgenstein, folks. Book is called Dugout to Peace. Links in the description. So, any thoughts on that? No, I know you're just gonna make jokes and stuff, but
no, actually, because I didn't read the book, so I was like, had some questions, but also wasn't clear on some things. Like, he said, we lost World War III to basically an Islamic State.
Right.
He said, okay, because Islam is like 3 different sects. You know what I'm saying? So I was just wondering which sect I just want to know.
That is something I'm curious about too, because we talk about Islam as if it's one thing, but it's not just 3 sects. It's lots of different nations that are Islamic, and I don't see them. It's almost like today's Republican Party. I don't think there's any unity among Islam as there, and I don't think there's any unity really other than even if there's a large segment, let's say, that is completely in the Trump corner. But I don't think the Republican Party is necessarily unified behind that. I think it's probably 40% or less.
Right. So my questions were going to be about the war, but then he said that basically the book takes place after the war. So maybe the war is just something that happened and he doesn't really address the mechanics of it. So that's why
he does in the first 2 books, and I have read the first 2.
Okay.
But yeah, but even so, he doesn't address the fact of. I think it's just creating the villain, and it's not necessarily like based in like the details of how the Islamic State would come together and unify and become
right.
All that kind of. Yeah,
and that's what I was wondering. Is like because they can't, they're.
They're killing each other as much as they're killing everybody else.
Right. Yeah. As soon as they got rid of the Jews, they turned on themselves. It's like, okay, they're gone now. Who's going to run this place?
Right. Right. Absolutely. And that's kind of the same as Christianity in people who really embrace the teachings of Christianity and Nick Fuente's branch of Christianity are not the same people. You're not going to get everybody who calls themselves a Christian on board with the Nick Fuente's kill everybody branch of Christianity. I don't see where Christ ever said kill everybody. Just kill everybody.
No. I think he actually stopped after the bankers. I'm not sure. I think Jesus said, everybody who cannot fit through the eye of a needle, we will kill. I think that's what I don't know.
Wow. I wouldn't fit. No, well, it'd have to be a big needle.
Yeah, and he never says how big the needle is. So that's the rub.
Nah, that's a good question.
Space needle.
Could be, it could be like a really from what was that stupid movie, Michael, where Travolta is the world's biggest ball of thread, the world's biggest frying pan. He was going to see all these.
Okay. I know the movie. I never saw it.
Yeah,
he was an angel, right? He was
yeah,
supposed to be
he's an angel, but he was obsessed with stopping at all these landmarks, like come see the world's biggest frying pan, come see the world's biggest ball of thread, the world's biggest needle.
Yeah,
yeah,
which would be a little bit bigger than the Space Needle because the Seattle is that where it is? Seattle? Yeah, the Space Needle.
yeah. But you could actually have a smaller needle with a bigger eye.
That's true. That's true. You could have a needle this big with an eye that's humongous.
That you could fit a big fat bastard through.
Yeah. And you'd be safe.
Yeah. So yeah. Interesting stuff. Are you? Because it sounded like you were more optimistic than I am. Are you or maybe you're just joking about that stuff? But are you an optimist at all?
I don't know.
Do you see any hope for humanity?
I only reason why I say yes, I see hope for humanity because otherwise, just give up. If I don't think there's a hope, then I should just cash in my chips. But I have like nieces and nephews that I want to see that the world is going to be a better place for, even though I'm not going to be here.
That's funny. I mean, I don't mean funny in a funny ha-ha way. I mean,
I don't. Yeah, I'd hate to be funny ha-ha after all this time.
It would kill. No, but because I lost my son, as you know. When I lost my son, I stopped caring about everybody. And I do have nieces. I have nephews. I don't have nieces. But I should care about them and care about leaving a better world for them. But if I'm being honest, that doesn't register in my head. I don't care. I don't think we have anything positive to build on.
You see, and I really,
I'm a downer, aren't I? I'm a fucking bummer.
I see, and I don't even look at it that way because that would be judgmental. I don't look at it like that. I just think you're you. You know, I just want to leave the world better than I found it, and that's literally at the core of my, the core of what I believe. Even when I make bad jokes and stuff like that.
Wait a minute, you found the world?
Oh yeah, I found it. It was Christopher Columbus found it first, and then I found it right after him.
Well, then he found it. You didn't find it.
Well, he didn't remember where he placed it. I had to find it again.
Okay. Well,
it's like all those people that find Jesus. If Jesus gets found like a billion times a day.
I would say lose it. Lose that world. Lose it. Just lose it. I want to show you some of the merchandise that we have. New merchandise. Can we show you? Oh, this is you can get this stuff in time for Christmas, by the way, if you order right now. Willie's oh shit hat, oh shit face. If you look at the back of these designs, it's got the smiling face on the back. So you have the astonished face on the front. Oh shit, and then the oh shit. You can get them in time. It's called the one will see what hits the fan hat, and it's available. The design is available on different kind of shirts and hoodies and even a bag. So it's available right now. Go to minddogtv.com. Up on the top of the nav, it says shop, and then under that merch, and you'll find all the stuff. Lots of cool stuff here. And you can get, if you order now, I think you still have time for Christmas on all the stuff. There's even this stuff, which can we show the design on here? Yeah, there we go. Sunday will never be the same. Anyway, so that's available right now. Check that out, and we appreciate your patronage. And it will keep the show alive. If you care about keeping the show alive, Kelly was the first one to actually order the Willie shirt. Now, as a president of his fan club, she should get the stuff for free, but that's not for me to say.
Now, are his shirts numbered so she knows she has the first one?
I don't know.
And is it going to go to Willie first so that he can sign it and send it to her?
I'm pretty sure she knows that she's the first one because as soon as I posted it, she jumped on it. So if she didn't know she was the first one, I think she's got to assume she's in the top 10. But I mean, really, as much as we do business, it's probably safe to assume that if you've ordered anything in the last year, you're the first. Speaking of ordering in time for Christmas, Creative Live has that 70% off site-wide sale that time is running out. It only lasts until Christmas Eve. So if you want to, and it makes a great gift. If you have a creative in your life, you want to get them something and you just can't think of what to get them, a course on Creative Live might be a good idea. Check it out.
It's time to unleash your creative excellence. Dreams won't work if you don't. They never happen overnight, and they rarely follow a straight line. Excellence is a result of the hustle, consistently pushing to do better. And success looks different for everyone. CreativeLive.com charts paths and tailors content for students, but they also encourage independent thinking and exploration. Go outside of your comfort zone. Who knows, you might actually like it. Right now, you can get up to 70% off through this exclusive offer for Coffee with the Dog. CreativeLive.com has site-wide sale for Coffee with the Dog listeners. Save up to 70% off. Go to minddogtv.com and click on the link on the homepage now.
And once again, this blank screen is brought to you by CreativeLive.com. Anyway, looks like third time's a charm. Paul Zolman, who has previously been scheduled on this program twice before, has shown up. He's in the back, and we're going to get to meet him in just 1 minute. I'm going to preface what we're about to learn about by saying I have never subscribed to this idea of love languages. My wife brings it up to me all the time. I don't speak her love language. I think it's a something that was invented to for women to beat their men up with. That's what I think it is. But Paul Zolman obviously thinks otherwise, and he will explain a little bit more about it. He has created a new way to demonstrate the principles of love languages, profound way to learn all 5 love languages to give them away. Now,
and I still think there's 7 love languages.
That's what I was going to say. Who decides the number, and can we, really have a hardened rule about how many? Can we invent a new love language?
We have to. My brother and I, people thought that we hated each other and we didn't hate each other. We just didn't get along. But we did have a love language, and that was insulting each other. And he'll call me on my birthday, and he go like, no matter what, we're.
I have to say, I have no problem expressing my love for you by telling you insulting things. So I'm with your brother. I'd like to dig him up and hang out with him for a day. Now
I'll arrange that.
Let me finish his description so we can let him in here. By giving them away, your vision will improve to the point. Wait, is he an eye doctor? By giving them away, your vision will improve to the point that you can see them coming your way and respond appropriately. Ladies and gentlemen, please open your ears, open your minds, and help me welcome in Paul Zolman to Coffee with the Dog. Paul, welcome.
Thank you. Pleasure to be with you, Dog. After that introduction, I'm excited for the show.
Oh, wow. Don't let my negativity kind of dampen your enthusiasm for being here. I'm sure there are people in the audience who subscribe to this stuff. I always felt like all this stuff is a tool for women to use against men. That's my take on it. What are the 5 languages, and where do they come from, and could there be more?
There could be more, but I go a different direction with that, and I'll get to that in a minute. But the 5 love languages was kind of identified. The theory was identified by Dr. Gary Chapman. He wrote a book about it and published it in 1992. So it's a little over 30 years old. And the theory is that everyone has a way that they like to be loved, one specific way, more than any other way. And that theory holds true with most people. They like one way or another. And the different love languages are the words. Some people just like to hear the words. They like to hear I love you. They like to hear the compliments. That is the way they feel loved more than any other way. Another way is people like to spend time with one another. My wife likes to watch Korean dramas, and they're okay. They're a little slow, really slow. You set your clock back 50 years, you're in good shape there, because it takes 9 or 10 episodes before they ever kiss, just kiss, or maybe even hold hands. So it takes a while for those Korean dramas to get started. I like Hallmark movies. She doesn't. But spending that time with each other, we don't even have to talk. Just spending time together is one way that people like to be loved. Another way is people like to be served. They like their car washed. They like the carpet vacuum. They like the trash taken out. They like dinner on the table at a certain period of time. That's service. People like that. They light up when that happens, and that's what they like. Other people like gifts, especially this time of year, Christmas time. People like gifts. They light up when they get a gift that is really important for them. And then the last one would be the touch. People like the high five, the fist bumps, the chest bumps, the fancy handshakes that maybe have 7 or 10 steps or 20 steps to it. Those really are handshakes that people, you can tell there's a connection there, and people really like that. Or the hugs, or even more intimate. But those are the 5 love languages.
Interesting. Now, it's funny, or not funny, haha. Funny to me, odd that you put touch as last and gifts as fourth. To me, gifts seems like a selfish thing. I don't know, gold digging. I don't know what. It feels dirty to me. I don't think I could ever relate to somebody who can only feel love by me giving them stuff all the time. First of all, I'd go broke. Trying to please them.
What if you feel love when you're the one who gives the gifts as opposed to the one who gets the gifts?
Is giving one?
Or is that service?
So what I just talked about is actually the receiving portion of it. That's how you like to receive love.
Okay.
So you could say there were 10 love languages if you're talking about giving away, and it's a little bit different that way. I was confused also with the direction that Dr. Chapman did, and that's kind of what caused me to make a new chapter, write a new book about this, and make it more simplified. So what you do is actually you're giving love away without any expectation of it ever coming back your way, but trusting the laws of the universe that were in place before you or I were ever born. The law of harvest, the law of karma, the law of attraction, any of those laws all say the same thing, that you send out is the universe is going to bring it back to you at some point in time. That's what you're doing with this. So it's really not what you, dog, it's not what you talked about a little bit earlier on the introduction. It's not a way to women to get under your skin at all.
But it is.
It is.
It just works out that way. It wasn't planned that way, but it works out that way.
Yeah.
Well,
my experience, if I can, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but my experience is anything a woman can get that she can use in an argument to win, at the end of the day, will be used as a weapon.
Yeah, but I think that pity party you're talking about is really unintended. Well, I told you how to love me. Why aren't you doing it? And that pity party, we don't even go there with this style of love that I'm talking about. You're sending it out without any regards of it coming back, but trusting that it will. And what you do, what I created is actually a cube that has the love language that's on it. So there's a touch, and the order that I said it in is really not that significant. There's the words, time, service, and then the gifts.
What's this? Because that has 6 sides. What's the 6 sides?
Five love languages, 6 sides on the die. The last side I created is called Surprise Me. On Surprise Me Day, what you're doing is you're watching for opportunities to do random acts of kindness. So there's just 2 instructions. You roll the cube every day. Whatever it lands on, that's the love language you practice giving away all day that day. So in my studies, what I found is that there's no way that anybody can bid love to come their way. That's out of their control. But what is in their control is giving it away and responding when it comes their way. They can control that. They can't bid it to come. I mean, that's like telling somebody, it's almost becomes duty bound if you tell somebody to love you, and that's not love. That's transaction.
All right. If to play devil's advocate here, now I think if Dr. Gary Chapman, as you call him, I didn't realize he was a doctor, possibly a psychologist. I don't know what, but
he was a pastor.
Okay, a pastor.
Oh, like the Reverend Jelly Roll.
Yeah,
not quite like that Reverend. Anyway, he he lost his wife. I mean, she left him. That to me, that's a credibility question right there, right? She's his first wife left him. I don't know if he's married again, but I believe his first wife was Amy Grant, right?
I'm not sure of that. That's a good question.
So and around the time he wrote the book, which kind of makes me, if you're an expert in these things, selling it as a person who's had a relationship fail, it's kind of a credibility gap. No?
But the relationship failed because he was spending so much time working on the book to teach people how to save a relationship. So it makes sense.
No, I get it. But to understand her love language, if you're committed, and the idea of making things work, and sometimes recognizing what the other person in your life needs, and not recognizing it enough to save your own marriage.
I'm pretty sure it went like this. Amy, I'm coming. I know you want me to hold your hand. Let me finish this chapter. I'll be there to hold your hand. I got it. I know.
Okay. What would you say to that, Paul? Do you have any kind of come back to that?
That's good commentary. I'm not familiar with his personal life in that way, but what I'm interested in and most interested in is really the theory of the love languages. So I came from an angry household myself and learned an angry culture. I needed something that would help me be a better person. And I saw that the love languages, Dr. Chapman being a pastor, he said that the love languages actually reconcile you to Jesus Christ. They were things that he did in his particular life. I'm Christian, and so that was very important to me. And so that is the theory is what I'm focused on. And because the theory is not copyrightable, I was able to get a copyright for my cube, copyright obviously for the book, and for this change. No longer is this just a romantic type of love that we're talking about. This is a love to everybody you come in contact with. So when you roll the die, that is something you practice to everyone you come in contact with. I was single at the time I created it. I said, Dr. Chapman, who in the heck am I supposed to love? I don't have a significant other. And then it just dawned on me, oh, I get to love everybody. For me, it was absolutely perfect because I needed a character development that would help me get away from anger. What I found was my pattern is I was stacking annoyance on top of annoyance on top of annoyance on top of annoyance, and then I'd have this flash of anger. I wanted to get over that. So I thought, well, what is the opposite of anger? And love came up as the answer. But it just several times in my life, there were times that even our family was branded as an angry family. And I realized that angry culture will talk over one another. They don't have any boundaries. They're put down so that they can raise themselves up. That's the angry culture I'm talking about. To overcome that, I needed to learn about love. So this is love in a more of a sense that just a decency, a common courtesy to all men, not just your significant other.
Interesting. First of all, I would describe myself as a person who came from an extremely angry background.
It doesn't show.
What? It doesn't?
It doesn't show.
Shut up. But my opposite of anger is acceptance. That's what I come. That's where I resolve to, that accepting things the way, accepting that things are the way they are, and then how you react to it is a whole other thing. But in my view, the opposite of anger is acceptance. Now, I'm not going to argue about that. Where you come to, that's your reality. But for me, I don't know if that love is a difficult word. It's like God. We can tell, do you believe in God? Sure. How do you define God? Well, I define God as a invisible man in the sky, or I define God as all loving energy, or whatever if we can't decide on a definition of what it means, it's really hard to have a discussion about it. I think love and God both have that in common. It's this idea that 8 billion people can define it in 8 billion different ways. Mm-hmm. So it's really hard. GD, is any of this stuff resonating with you? This idea of beyond romantic love, using these to have better relationships with everybody.
Oh, in my humble opinion, as an expert certified forensic humorist, I'm actually of the opinion that self-love is what starts it. You have to do that first. Now, I guess some people can't love themselves without a mirror, and they need the mirror of society. They need to see themselves in society first, love society, and then realize they can love themselves. So, but I'm just wondering about the love language and how it works with self-love.
Great question. That
Thank
the
you.
way,
That's what I do.
yeah,
I hate when people compliment him like that.
That's the angry side of you, dog.
I know. I'm kidding. Anyway, I love him. I
yeah.
love him.
So to me, self-love is it doesn't mean self-indulgence, but it means that you feel loved and that you'll feel that satisfaction. So as you're rolling the die every single day and practicing what you're giving away, you're watching for when people light up. When people light up, you're actually making their day. You're lifting them up. You're making their day a little bit better. There's great satisfaction in doing that. For staying with that genre all day long, you're going to run across maybe 4 to 6 to 8, maybe 10 people that will light up when you're doing words, or when you're doing time, or when you're doing service. When you're doing any one of the love languages, you'll find people that light up. For yourself, you just take a mental note, and then for that person, just wash, rinse, repeat for that person. That's how you can send out, make sure that they feel loved every time that you have association with that person. For those that don't, maybe tomorrow will be a better day. I used tough love when I was a father. I have 8 children. When I was raising the children, that and they didn't like what was presented to them for dinner, I said, well, maybe you'll like the next meal. And it was their choice. Basically, they can eat or they can wait till the next meal.
Wow.
It seems to me with 8 kids, your love language was touch.
You know what? Once you find something that you like, you just keep doing it. That's all.
Yeah,
that's all it is.
My father's response to my brother was not happy with the hamburger he had, and my father's response was to pick up a burger and throw it at his head so hard that it went through the kitchen window, shattered both the window and the storm window. That's what the world I grew up in. So it's no doubt that I am an angry person. But this idea of by giving them away, your vision will improve to the point that you can see them coming your way and respond appropriately. What do you mean by respond appropriately? Like, are you supposed to be like conscious of this stuff all the time and thinking about it in every interaction that you have in the world?
Great question. So the theory that Dr.
Was it better than his question?
No.
Well, yeah, no. They're all great. Yeah, thank you. So 10-0, 10-0. And yeah. So the theory that Dr. Chapman has is that people have that primary love language. For the most part, people will give away what they like in hopes that it'll come back for that reciprocity. Yeah. So that to me is a transaction. That's really not love. That's a transaction. If you're in business, that works well. Love doesn't work that way. True love actually is giving it away without any expectation of it coming back. No expectations at all, but trusting that it definitely will come back. When you give it away over this 30-day period, and I'm just saying 30 days because that's kind of the form of a habit. I've actually had the copyright on the cube since 2017. I've rolled it every day since that time. As you're giving it away, you're learning what to do for that particular genre of that love language. You do it for 30 days, you learn all 5 love languages backwards and forwards. You become what I like to call a love language linguist. Sexy title. I know you both want that. You want that title, put it on your resume. You go to that employer, and the employer is going to say, what the heck is a love language linguist? And you're going to say, I just love people. That employer is going to want their customers loved, and they want a loving environment rather than a hostile environment within the workplace. But as you're giving it away and learning all 5 love languages to give it away, that is what improves your vision. It gives you the peripheral vision that most people don't have. They have that myopic vision that this is my love language. Anything coming to my way, that's the only thing I like. Everything else might be nice, but it's not love. This gives you that peripheral vision that says, oh, they're loving on me. It's not my primary love language, but I can respond to that, seeing that it is love. They're sending love my way.
All right. Well, you just described it again on the receiving end of it, right?
Correct. Yeah. Well, on giving, yeah, that's correct. The receiving end of it.
My wife would describe my love languages from my giving perspective is that one of service. Because that's what generally I'm always looking for to try. But it's not like I'm looking for love. I'm looking for peace. I'm looking to get ahead of the game, to not give her something to be angry about. And if I always think, well, if she has something to be angry about, let me get that out of the way before she notices. And so, but it looks like service. But because I'm trying to expand this beyond just my relationship with my wife to the world. I'm an entertainer and a creator, and that doesn't feel like service to me. It doesn't feel like I'm providing a service. It feels like I'm just trying to connect with people. And I don't know if connection is how even that fits in, but I don't feel like I'm not sure that she's right, even though I would agree with her in our relationship. I do a lot of service-oriented things to try to stay out of trouble. But I'm not sure what my own love language is. It's from the giving side of it.
Yeah. So what do you like to receive? What lights you up? Is it the words? Is it service to you? Is it a gift? Is it spending time with you? What lights you up?
What lights me up? I'm gonna sound like I'm a cold heart, and I probably
actually
am.
It's what he lights up that lights him up.
That too. Daily High Club, by the way, you can get your Holoblaze box for $29.95. No, I enjoy alone time. I enjoy my creative time. I enjoy my studio time. Nobody bothering me in the studio. I can sit here and create for 12, 15 hours at a time. That's what lights me up. I also enjoy performing on stage, but I am not like in the spotlight. I am a side man, and I just love making music with the guys I make music with in my band. But it's still a solitary time for me. It's that, and so it's hard to kind of equate love languages to somebody who doesn't want anybody around.
you know, I've always said COVID was an introvert's dream vacation.
Yeah.
It really kind of was. But people that are like that like time. But I know an introvert that really likes the words. They like the compliments. They like hearing just any words that would help them understand a little bit more about themselves. And when people are articulate with words and help you understand what that introvert looks like and who you are, I think maybe as an introvert, it's hard for you to maybe express in some ways, and that the radio personality or the mic personality more a persona. So to find out who you are, you need that time to sit down and just think about it. And then when the words come, people compliment you. Yeah, just like a minute ago, I said that was a great question, and you wanted to know whether it was as good as the other question.
Better, I think I was.
Better, yeah. So I think the words that was just kind of indicative of you liking words, and you wanted those compliments. Maybe you did it in jest, but
no, I just don't like him getting complimented, and I always want to feel like I'm better than him.
And that's okay.
I'm a joke supremacist.
I like that.
Now, what about, because this stuff? Don't take this as an insult in any way, but
it's an insult.
Yeah, people will consider this on the pop psychology department or self-help and all that kind of stuff. But when it comes down to real psychological issues like nymphomania or that kind of stuff, does that relate to love languages anyway? Because there are people who can't get enough physical love no matter how much, and so can this stuff be applied to that, or do you give any credence to any of those real psychological science, psychic science, or psychiatric science?
Definitely, there is something to that. There, more seriously, there's actually PTSD is a serious issue that a lot of soldiers have. A lot of people have it after coming out of a relationship that's a fairly difficult relationship. They'll come out with PTSD. People in the police force have PTSD. Just the things that would cause that, or any other type of medical condition. definitely that is a factor. Something that what this does is actually provides variety of different ways to love, different themes for the day, different purposes for the day. And what I found is that, especially with PTSD, they're focused on that particular event, whatever it was that happened that was traumatic in their life. And whatever that event was, if you can focus on something different for just a moment or even a day or a few hours, just focus on something different, that's going to help you get out of that rut, or so to speak, that mind synapse that keeps going back to that particularly traumatic event. Make some loving events, create a diversion. It's exactly what I needed. What I found was being annoyed to that flash of anger. I realized that I was mostly annoyed at other people. I hardly ever got annoyed at myself. Well, one time, there was a time I got so annoyed at myself, I didn't talk to myself for 3 days.
Yeah, I know that feeling. I mean,
Yeah.
just yesterday, and this is maybe some. I'm getting on the couch here. I had a problem with my wife told me she used my car yesterday morning, and my front headlight was my driver's side headlight was out, and right away I got who needs this crap right now, and I went to the auto parts store, bought the headlight, and usually they in the old days, not too long ago, old days like a year ago,
Mhm.
they would say, "Well, we can do that for you. Or, you know what? We'll change it for you when you buy it." But none of that. I even asked, "No, we don't do that anymore." So I got to go out there, and then I was like trying to in the parking lot change the light bulb, and not getting the one out, and I'm getting frustrated with myself. I called my wife and I said, I'm a failure at everything in life. I can't even change a light bulb. Now, generally, she thinks I'm too negative on myself all the time. She was giving me the pep talk. Oh, you know what? So what? It's don't feel so bad and all that kind of stuff. But I was beating myself up over this. Like I
Mhm.
can't get this. And she said, well, why don't you come home and check you? Because I read the book. The book didn't help. Just a simple counterclockwise. That didn't happen. So she said, come home and watch a YouTube video. And I did. I watched a YouTube video and then went out there and I still couldn't do it. I said, I can't believe I'm going to have to go to a mechanic to have a light bulb changed in my car.
So
Anyway,
yeah, so
uh,
annoying things like that is what I realized was the start of that anger, or the stacking of annoyances and getting me to the angry point. I think that the identification of if there's any way that the person that has that addiction or has that post-traumatic stress or infomania, whatever it is that they've got, if they can find out what the source is, then stop that activity as much as you can. Just stop that activity, focus on doing something else. That's absolutely what I needed for my life. I did not want to be that angry person. In fact, that was my statement. I said, I don't want to be angry. It's kind of a double negative, which you multiply two negative numbers together, it gets a positive. It doesn't work in relationships.
yeah,
Absolutely wasn't working for me. So I really needed a replacement behavior. This actually became the replacement behavior. Just taking the 2 seconds or less that it takes to roll the die first thing in the morning, noticing that that's what you're watching for all day long. It was like looking this way at faults of another person, now looking this way at the good things of another person. Instead of saying what's wrong with that person, I started saying what's right with that person. Changed. It was a paradigm shift that I needed for myself.
right. Most
If
of mine is internal though, and that's the point I was making is that my insecurities, and I've talked about this before about my role as a man and my inability to really be mechanically inclined is a major insecurity for me, and it's something that so the annoyance was with myself as like.
Mhm.
I'm thinking of myself as a failure now. All this stuff. When I got to the mechanic, by the way, he he changed my paradigm on gave me the paradigm. He said, don't feel bad about this stuff. Headlights can be a challenge for because they make it really hard to access the stuff and all
Mhm.
that stuff.
Yeah.
He said, but this car that you drove in is the worst car on the planet for this, so I don't feel so bad about yourself. But that changed my
Mhm.
my day from that moment. But all of these things it comes from insecure. Almost all of my failings in life come from insecurity. And so the annoyance is almost always with myself. Other people annoy me, but my annoyances that make me angry it always starts with my self-doubt and my own insecurities. So that is what I think GD was talking about, self-love, because that's something I know it exists, but I still have not been able to work on it enough to the point where I see it coming and understand it in the moment. It's only in reflection afterwards. This idea about seeing it coming your way and being able to respond appropriately. I don't see anything coming my way. I see it in hindsight.
So I like to just create it like this, or explain it like this: that with a magnifying glass, you're making things larger, and if you focus on the problems or the weaknesses or the faults, like yourself, or anyone other than that, it's just that's going to make it bigger. And I realize this as I'm raising kids. If I focus on the problem, that problem got a lot bigger, and I realized I've got to focus on what's right about that child and focus on the good things that they're doing and praise them in that way. And as I focused on that, actually that part became bigger. And so that's the whole idea, is that you want to focus on what's right about Rachu dog, what is good about you and what's great about you, what's wonderful about you.
And my wife told me, ask the guy if he could write a song. I said, you know what? A lot more people do that than you would think. Just because you can't do it, don't think the mechanic can't do it. Because
and everybody
the mechanic probably has like 9 country songs he's waiting to play for you.
Exactly.
You haven't heard my hit album. I'm just doing the mechanic stuff because I love it, but I'm actually a very successful musician. Like, I hate you. What was your profession before you decided to become a game creator? Do you have experience in game creation before?
No, I don't actually. This is actually the first. And so what I've done most of my life is finance and accounting. As I was raised, and I was just like you, that I wanted to be the good person, keep within the rules and always obey rules. When I was 17, I took the career test that everybody takes, and the career test said that I'd be a great IRS agent. It's just because I didn't want to get beat by my dad. I wanted to stay within the rules, and I didn't become an IRS agent. I thought, I'm not going to do that. I don't want to make people angry already. I've already come from anger. I don't want to make more people angry. And so I settled on accounting, which stays within the rules. It's very close to that, what that career said, stayed with accounting, actually became a CFO of a public company. And now I do merchant services, just set up businesses so they can take credit card as payment.
Well, that's very cool. Now, did you get any, I don't know what the word I'm looking for, but advice, or did you collaborate with anybody who was in the psychology field in developing this game?
That's a great question. And I did. Actually, that was the inspiration for doing this. In 2017, I had the cube, and I was taking it around to mental health specialists, and they said, this is a great idea, except we need a manual, because it's so different. The style of practice and everything else is so different from what Dr. Chapman did, and from Dr. Chapman's application of the love languages, that we really need a manual. And so this gentleman that I went to in March of last year said I should write a book. And so I'd never thought of that before. And I sat down and had all the ideas, put them all in different columns. I had some advice that said, take some sticky notes and make 10 columns on the wall. And every time you have an idea about this, put it in one of the columns. So I did something like that. I did it more in a spreadsheet, following my accounting behavior, did it more in a spreadsheet, made the columns. Once I was out of ideas and I wasn't coming up with anymore, then I started writing. Took 6 weeks to write the book. Took a lot longer to edit it. Took a little bit of time to format it, and then to create a cover for it. So I published it just this year. And that's how the book came to be, and that's kind of the interaction I've had with mental health therapists, and I continue to have great success with them, talking about it, helping them understand that there's several out there though that really were against the love languages, maybe for the same reason you are, dog, that it really kind of sets up one person say, well, I told you what my love language is, how come you're not delivering? And when it's just that sort of thing, you don't want to get to that pity party. What I found most that I talked about stacking annoyance on top of annoyance on top of annoyance with this, and I'll bring it back to what we talked about earlier in the show. This is stacking kindness on top of kindness on top of kindness on top of kindness to get to the higher laws of love. And it's not necessarily another love language, but it just is a more of an expansion, a higher law of love, like charity or compassion.
I'm aware. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. That was a rude interruption. I was going to get to it. We have to say goodbye to Govs. We want to let Govs know that we love Govs. Govs, the love language at Governor's Comedy Club